Welcome back to 15th Street Automotive. Vehicle today is a 2012 GMC Acadia. It was towed in over the weekend and it died on the side of the freeway. No power, wouldn't start, we wouldn't restart. Well, I wasn't sure if it was a mechanical problem, electrical problem, or what it was until it got here. And the battery is stone dead. There's no power at all on the when you turn the ignition on. There's nothing. It's just, stone dead. What I did find out, when you try to jump it, the jumper connectors get hot. So there's a short somewhere. So we pushed it in. I disconnected the battery. Battery's got like 2 volts in it. I thought this might be a good video to do, so I'm not sure what we're going to find, but you're going to come along with me and we're going to figure it out together. So on these Acadias, the battery is under the, or in between the 2 rear seats. So I've got it disconnected. If I put my multimeter here, let me do this here. Put my multimeter here where you can see it. If I put it on ohms, and I put the positive lead there and the negative lead here, we get a direct connection. Now we should probably have some type of a connection because, you know, you got solenoids and motors and everything that are connected, but it shouldn't be 0.2 of an ohm. So there's something shorted out together on the circuit. Initially I was thinking maybe it was just a battery because it's a Duralast Gold and I'm not a big fan of those, but I was hoping it was going to be a battery, but it's obviously something more sinister than that. So we are going to investigate this. I suspect maybe like a I suspect it's going to be something fairly high amperage, alternator starter maybe. The fact that it happened on the freeway driving kind of makes me think it's not going to be a starter problem. I suspect maybe an alternator problem, but disconnecting the alternator, the main lug on the alternator, is going to tell us. So we're gonna move in that direction and see what we find. So I haven't pulled any schematics yet, but this is the connection. The battery is on one of these lugs, and then there's another lug that goes to the main engine components. Alternator, I think, and starters on one of these lugs. And then this tab here that it connects to powers this battery junction box. But if I replace, or if I remove this, that will, it's going to isolate systems. So we're going to take this off and see if taking this off changes our our short. So here's the one to the battery. So basically this is going to test to see if this cable is shorted out, like on the frame or something like that. And we're gonna get some resistance. Okay, so we got 27,000 ohms. So that's not our problem. Let's move this off the way so we don't short anything out. If we connect it to this battery junction box, so that is it's counting up here. $500 ohms roughly. But that thing's connecting a lot of solenoids and a lot of motors, and I mean all these relays, and there's a path to ground through all those things. So that's not our problem. This has to be our problem. And there we go, 0.2 of an ohm on the main power lug that goes to the engine. Now we haven't even gotten a schematic yet. We're just kind of throwing some mud against the wall, see what sticks. Let's look at that main lug there and see where that thing goes. Okay, so here's the cable here, and if you see here, it branches off into two cables, and one of them's a 200 amp fuse to tell you how much power that thing runs. And then the other one goes down, I suspect, to the starter, but that one goes directly to the alternator right there, that 200 amp fuse. That should have popped that fuse if it's a dead short. But let's see if we disconnect. Let's see here, those are both together. If we disconnect that alternator down there, we can test the alternator to ground, see if that's a dead short. Let's try that first. Alright, so I'm going to disconnect the main lug on the alternator here. That's the big wire, that one that 200 amp fuse went to. And that resistance, I suspect, is going to change if the alternator is the problem. Oh, yep, there it goes. Yep, so I pulled that fuse out of there, or I pulled that circuit out of there, and ooh, that's crusties. That got hot. Hot. Holy crap. Look at that, thing's falling apart here. All the insulation is burned off of it. Yeah, that sucker got hot, but it didn't pop that 200 amp fuse. Crazy. We're going to need a new harness for that. So, with this disconnected, let's route this someplace where it's safe. With that disconnected, we should be able to put all this back together, hook our battery up, and have the car start. Provided we haven't damaged any vital components in the process. So we'll put the starter cable back. So this is hot now, so we need to make sure we're not getting too close to that. Put this back on. So now if we test this thing, we should have a little more resistance in the circuit. So now we're pulling into resistance of all the motors and the solenoids on the vehicle. So, okay, so that's an improvement. But let's see what happens when we hook our battery back up. Alright, so I hooked our battery up. Battery's dead. It's got like 2 volts in it, so I don't know if the battery's been damaged or not, but I used a jump box to get power up. As soon as I powered it up, things came on. So let's check our fuse here on the alternator circuit, and we got 11.35. So our fuse is good. It didn't pop the fuse. It just got this really hot. So I suspect our alternator is shorted out. The alternator probably shorted out before it took the fuse out. I don't know. Or the amperage wasn't high enough or something. Well, let's see if we can start this thing with a jump on it. Alright, engine started. Obviously, the alternator's not working because we got it disconnected. The check engine light is on. We need to investigate that. And none of the other module lights are on, so hopefully we didn't damage any of the modules when that thing shorted out. I mean, I'm real curious as to why this fuse didn't pop, but it didn't. So I'm going to check the resistance from that lug to ground and see what we get there. I'm guessing it's going to be 0.2 of an ohm. So, testing resistance from the lug of the back of the alternator to ground, we've got 253,000 ohms. I wonder what happens if we plug this back on there. Yeah, it doesn't like that. So we've got some windings in that alternator that are shorted out. I bet depending on where that thing stops is whether it's shorted out or not. Yeah, because now we've got 147 ohms, 1,000 ohms. We're at 147,000 ohms. So, depending on where that rotor is on the alternator is whether it's shorted out. So, it's a dead short on the alternator. This thing's going to get an alternator, and we're going to replace this harness here if we can get it. If we can't get it, I'll figure out something to do with this, because that's going to cause a problem down the road. All right, so I've got the battery, got my power supply on the battery because I think the battery's damaged where it won't take a charge. So I got the power supply on it so we can do some tests, and had a check engine light on it. So I put my scanner on it. We're going to pull the codes, but you can see I've got codes in just about all the modules. So let's see what we got. Probably power codes. Oh, got a O2 sensor codes there. It doesn't like my O2 sensors, that's for sure. Generator codes, yep, I would expect those. Control module long-term memory performance. Ooh, that's a little concerning. System low voltage, a lot of low voltage stuff. And that's what I would have expected, was a lot of low voltage stuff. I don't know why those O2 sensor codes in there, man. There's O2 sensor codes for everything. And they're all current. Wow. Okay, well, we're going to clear these, and then let's see what comes back once we put a battery and everything in it. So those low voltage codes will go away and stay away for the most part, provided we have an alternator that's working and a battery that works. But as far as the oxygen sensor codes, more than likely those are legit codes. I can't imagine all 4 oxygen sensors going bad all at once, but stranger things have happened, I guess. After these all clear, let's see what code comes back. There's that code in the ECM that came back, so we'll see what's in there. Okay, list. So just a generator. I've got the generator disconnected, obviously. So okay, so let's sell them a battery and an alternator, and then I'll bring you back in and show you what we find after we take care of those problems. We'll have to put some miles on it to see if those O2 sensor faults come back. So I stayed late last night to finish that Acadia alternator. We replaced the cable and we replaced the alternator and the belt. I was able to charge the battery all day. The battery came back just fine. But I mean, I was doing it late last night. Customer wanted his car back first thing this morning, so priority was to get the job done and not film it. So I didn't film it, but we've got the thing running. Checked codes after I got done and road tested it, and it was none of the O2 sensor codes reset. Obviously the low voltage codes went away, but it's fixed. Customer is driving. I just called the customer just now, and they're happy with it. It's running great. So just a shorted out alternator, and that one's a fix. Thanks for watching.